and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emma, or Emily, who's to say, and I'm going to be reading Shakespeare for a week. So today is Tuesday the 28th of July, and my goals are to finish the Shakespeare that I want to read by Friday, or on Friday, because that's the last day of this month, and I'd like to get all of those in, for July. I technically started this on Monday, but it just didn't work out well. So I'll talk about the other ones I'm gonna read, but I started reading King Lear, and this one is a tragedy, and the formatting is just a little bit difficult because it doesn't even have their full names. It has like abbreviations, so it makes it a little bit harder to follow. And I had an audiobook on script for this, but I think it must have been like a different edit. Basically, as I was listening to the audiobook, there were things in here that weren't being said, and there were things in the audiobook that weren't even written here. So that got confusing really quick. I kind of just decided to not do that. I know an audiobook will help me a lot with this one, especially just because of how the formatting is. I will try and find a different audiobook for it, but it's not one that I'm actually going to plan on reading this week anymore. Just because out of this whole bunch, it's the one that's going to be the most difficult for me to read, and so I'm not going to force myself to read it and get nothing out of it. So let's talk about the 4 other plays that I am going to read. I did start the first one last night though, and I got a few pages in. I'm still on scene 1, and that is A Midsummer Night's Dream. The Folgers editions, each spread has the notes and sometimes an illustration, but not always, has notes, and then on this side is where the actual play text is. So the book is also sort of half as long as it looks, but obviously you're still reading the notes. It's just the notes don't take as much effort to read. I'm liking reading the Folgers edition so far. It's very helpful in how it's set up, and I just really like the formatting. I'm actually having a pretty easy time understanding this. Like, there are some things where I'm kind of just like, what? And then I look at the notes, I'm like, oh, okay. It's just a weird word. But overall, I'm understanding the actual themes or meaning of a statement or something like that. Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know much about this one except for what I've already read, and I think there's lovers and mythical beings, I think. Next is Twelfth Night, and this one, I don't know much about the original, but I know that She's the Man is based off of it, and I'm here for that. So I love She's the Man. It's a great movie. Next is Othello. So I have already read this one. I've read 2 other Shakespeare plays before. And I've also kind of read a little bit of Macbeth, but I don't think I ever finished it. But I've read 2 full Shakespeare plays before, and Othello was my favorite. I thought it was so good. It's the only tragedy besides King Lear in this bunch. But like I said before, I'm probably not going to be reading King Lear, but it's the only tragedy, but I've read it before and I think it's funny. The ending, yes, is sad, and there are some disappointing things that happen, and there are some sad things that happen, but it's still funny, okay? Othello's main theme is basically jealousy. It deals with Iago's jealousy, it deals with Roderigo's jealousy, it deals with Othello's jealousy. A couple of the women in the play also have jealousy, but it's not as severe as the men. I think one of the main things about Othello is that Iago is constantly referred to as honest Iago, but the irony is that from the very beginning he's a liar. He's constantly making up stories about things just to get his way. So he's not honest, but everyone's like, honest Iago. And then he's like, huh. I really liked this when I read it, and I'm excited to reread it again. Dude, what is going on with my throat? I also really want to reread this because I got a book called I, Iago. I'll have a picture of it because it's down there, but I don't want to get it. I think it's literally just Othello retold from Iago's point of view, which sounds really interesting because Iago is my favorite character. He is the best villain. I love him. yeah, he's not a good person, but he's the best villain. You know what I mean? And finally, I have As You Like It. So this, I think, is my sister's old copy. The cover is really fragile, where you could kind of just like bend it and it'll just snap off, which is interesting. But yeah, so this isn't a Folgers edition, but that's okay. This one does have their full names, but I don't know anything about this one either. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a comedy. I think all of these are comedies except for Othello. So these are the 4 Shakespeare plays that I'm planning on reading. I'm not planning on reading any of his sonnets or any of his other work. It's just plays because that's all I own. Today I'm going to start by reading A Midsummer Night's Dream. Like I said before, I'm already a little bit into it. But yeah, I still have like a few pages before scene 1 ends, but it's interesting. And there are 2 exceptions. So basically the idea for this video is that I'm only reading Shakespeare. Those are the only fiction novels, plays, I don't know, that I'm reading. But I am going to be reading 2 other things just because I need to. So the first one is Essential Van Gogh. This is an art book, and I don't think it has all of Van Gogh's paintings in it, but it has a good amount of them. And yeah, I've been annotating it, not just Shakespeare, but those are the only like fictional things that I'm going to be reading. And the other book is one where you do a sort of like a lesson every day, or just you do something every day. And so I've been working on that. So I'm also going to continue doing that. It is probably about 10 right now, but last night I finished A Midsummer Night's Dream. I finished at around 10:13 p.m., but I ended up doing a lot more administrative work yesterday than I thought. I had to deal with a lot of stuff for my school and for new doctors and stuff like that. So yeah, so I didn't tab it, but I did mark it. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I really didn't like Act 5. Like, they all come back and are sort of, everything's sort of right again. The couples are with their respective couples. Just go with it. But when they start performing that play, it gets weird because it's supposed to be like really bad and everyone's insulting them, but it just felt really awkward to me. Like I was just like, this is awkward. I'm at around 3.75 stars with this. And I'll put it as 4 stars in my Goodreads. It was just kind of that. It just didn't make it for me, you know? Also, something I realized, I don't think I noted at which point I realized it, but Robin Goodfellow, I think is his name, also known as Puck, also known as Hobgoblin, he, in Dead Poet Society, the play that they're doing is A Midsummer Night's Dream, which I didn't really remember. So I think the part that I remember, I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So Neil Perry is like the one playing Robin or Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I think the line that we see delivered is, "The king doth keep his revels here tonight, take heed the queen come not within his sight." And it continues on, but I feel like that's what I mostly remember. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, was this in Dead Poet Society? I don't know if that's the part it actually shows, but that is what like sparked that memory, sort of. And so it was like, A Midsummer Night's Dream was actually in Dead Poet Society. And then as I was reading it, I remembered, oh yeah, that's why I bought this. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It was weird. It was really, really weird, but I loved it. And yeah, so I think maybe it's more like 4 stars. I am really excited to read 12th Night, which is over there. I'll get up and grab it. So 12th Night is only about 10 pages longer than A Midsummer Night's Dream. I think there's just more notes in this one, like in the front and back. So I'm excited to start this, but I'm also nervous. Okay, so I watched some Criminal Minds, what else, while I was eating, and then I called my school and had to wait forever just to get like a very, very simple answer. But yeah, So while the whole like elevator music was playing, even though it was kind of like sci-fi elevator music, it was very like, I don't know how to describe it other than just like kind of sounded like a really 80s movie sci-fi montage sort of song. It was strange. But while I was waiting, I did a whole map, all the characters, and I feel like it's kind of messy. I'm sorry if you get annoyed that I keep comparing it to She's the Man, but that's what I have to go off of. I think in She's the Man, she dresses up as her brother, but in this, she disguised herself as Cesaria, and her brother's name is Sebastian, so that's not the case. And I'm wondering if Malvolio was that one guy who had the tarantula. He was a creep. I've read 6 lines so far, and I am feeling accomplished. I'm really excited for this one, so I think I'm going to start reading it. Hey guys, so last night I finished 12th Night. I finished at around 8ish? 9ish. I don't remember. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. I think I liked it a little bit more than A Midsummer Night's Dream because I just have like, I grew up watching She's the Man, and so I had like a lot of the actors in mind with them. I watched the movie right after reading this last night.
So how many reps can you do with that 225?
Like 20.
220.
There were some names that were kind of just thrown in there, like they didn't reflect the characters at all. Like Duke's friends, Valentine and Curio, they were named Toby and Andrew, which is the uncle and suitor of Olivia in the play. So that doesn't make any sense. There are some things in it that I don't really know about. Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, I know about this, but like, first off, there are some racist comments in here. And it's just kind of like, there's also some like sort of bad mental health rep, which is understandable considering adequate mental health care didn't show up until like 400 years later, a little less than 400 years later. Kind of makes sense, but still kind of like, yikes. Basically, Malvolio is tricked into acting a certain way, and then Olivia's like, what? And one of the ways she uses to describe him is, why, this is very Midsummer Madness. And I was like, what? And the note says Midsummer Madness is like insanity. So the midsummer moon was thought to cause madness, which midsummer, night's moon, dream. I'm so happy I read this afterwards because I was like, oh my god. Also, at the end of this one, how they're like, it's all just a dream. Bye. That was funny. So that was interesting. I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that I was like, no. Oh, yes. So I'm not gonna say where it is in the what it is in the text because so it's possibly an allusion to a sonnet by Sir Philip Sidney in which the lady's twice saying no to the offer of a kiss is taken as a yes, because in grammar, 2 negatives make an affirmative. Yeah, I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than A Midsummer Night's Dream. I don't entirely know why. I think I really liked, there was drama in A Midsummer Night's Dream too with like between the 4 lovers, but I loved the drama in here and like all of the little miscommunications and how in Act 5 everyone was like, what the hell is going on? And they were like, oh, this one guy's alive? That explains everything. Which is true. Him being alive just really fixes everything. If a sibling dies off screen, they're not dead. Which is almost always true. Oh, also, I'm wearing those pants that like have the hole thing? The slit thing? They're like interesting. It's kind of nice because yesterday it was really freaking warm. And I like wearing pants most of the times, like shorts, dresses are okay, but not really my thing. And I like wearing pants, and so it was kind of nice because I was wearing like, they're not sweatpants, but they're like joggers, I guess. but they had like breeze. So while it was super warm yesterday, I wasn't like overheating. So that was nice. Othello. Got to page 17, and I think we start on page 7, so yeah, we started on page 7. So I'm still in Act 1. Dude, we went over this book for way longer than we needed to. Like, over a month, I think, at least. It was insane. And I did another map for them as well. Also, Cassio has a wife. What? I did not know this. And it says, the only reference in the play to Cassio's wife, which explains why I did not know he had a wife. I was so shocked. If I ever met someone who reminded me of Iago, I would be terrified. Like, I think he's an amazing villain because he's so dedicated and he just does not give a shit. Even though he really does. He's like, the whole reason he's a villain is because he's so driven by jealousy and he wants things his way. But at the same time, he's just like, also like, that happens to them, that happens to them. I'm over here, I'm fine. Like, very much totally okay. Also, to his wife Amelia, poor Amelia. She just wants to like make him happy. She had to marry this dude. And he's like, basically in the beginning, I totally forgot how many just racist comments there are about, also just like inappropriate comments. How many racist comments there are about Othello and Desdemona getting together when they're warning Brabantio. Okay, so I decided to finish Othello because I didn't feel well, and I had the audiobook for it, so it wasn't too difficult to read along, and it really didn't take that long. I read it straight through from where I last left off, which was on page 75. Dude, I'm so tired. This is still probably my favorite out of everything I've read of Shakespeare, just because it deals with so much. It deals with jealousy, deceit, rage, race. The thing I love about Iago is that he is so horrible and such an awful person, and he really just does things for his own self, but he's so brilliant in the way he does that. Like, he gets stuff done, and he's so deceptive. It's like a reverse psychology almost. Like, he'll talk to Othello and be like, yeah, that's Cassio. And Othello's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, no, Cassio's a great dude, I think. And it just like, Othello's like, what? And Iago's like, well, I think he might be having sex with your wife. But like, don't believe me, okay? Just don't. And Othello's like, and just the way he does it is like so evil and so smart, and I freaking love it. Yeah, and just the other thing is, I did not realize how quickly this goes by, because in class we spent like at least a month, probably more, reading Othello, which is a really long time. And so all of this stuff was happening. I was like, oh my god, because it's not a month-long play. The talk about race though and feminism as well is very difficult, because it's hard to know what Shakespeare meant by it, because I'm almost positive, I don't know, I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure that Othello was probably played by someone in blackface because of the times, and that's not good. So there's that, but it's also the villain, the one who is wholeheartly the villain and everybody hates, is so racist that it sort of gives those racist ideologies a bad name. Not that they didn't already have that, but I mean in Shakespeare's time. But also Amelia said a lot of very feminist things, like, these men, they marry us, and I think she said they treat us like food and then belch us out, and it was like, damn. Desdemona was like, I would never be unfaithful to my husband. I could never do that. Are there such women in the world who would do that for the world? And Amelia was like, yeah, 100%. And not saying I approve cheating, because I don't. I don't like cheating. But it was just so funny that she was like, he sucks. Then she was also like, if cheating like for the world meant I could cheat to make my husband like king, then yeah, I would do it. And I was kind of like, okay. Iago should not be king. That's for damn sure. Also, I marked every single time honest Iago was mentioned. There was one time that I marked it and it said good Iago. It was 19 times. 19 times he is referenced as honest. And it's just so ironic. Honesty is also used a lot for other characters, but with Iago it's like all of the basically irony that's attached to it. But with other characters, honest is just like, it's said so much in this play. Even if you took out all of the times that it's said about Iago, more than the other two plays I've read, honest is just such a big part of this play. And it's so interesting in that, like, the lack of it and how much it's used in this play, the lack of honesty and the amount of miscommunication based off of dishonesty is insane. So I am glad that I finished these three. I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I actually like 12th Night more than Midsummer Night's Dream. I don't know, I'm having a hard time with this one. I think I'm gonna give this one 5 stars just because I love all of the layers with it. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, these I think I'm both gonna give 4 stars because the more I've thought about A Midsummer Night's Dream, the more I think of it as 4 stars. What I did not get to was As You Like It, which is all the way over there, so I'm not gonna get it. And I didn't get to King Lear, but I had already figured that one out. I'm really happy that I read these, and for those of you who like Broken Spines, there you go. I'm happy I read them right next to each other because it just helps you understand his language so much more. I'm still not feeling great, so I'm gonna continue to lay back down. I read Shakespeare for a week-ish. It's more like 4 days, but I really enjoyed it. It was a fun experience just reading his plays back to back to be able to better understand his language, I guess, and his use of tropes and stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please give this video a like. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.